Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host. And today I'm here with Cindy Rand, and she is very accomplished and has so many different things that she does. And so I'm actually just going to let her introduce herself and tell about herself. So Cindy, go ahead.
Oh gosh, I just told somebody I'm a little less buttoned up than people actually think that I am. Um, I've been an accountant for almost 30 years and a business coach. So we helped a lot of businesses get established. So I also have interests, I say my profession and then my passion. My passion, which evolved into a nonprofit, is always helping people to be their best selves, thrive 360 in mind, body, spirit, and finances. At this stage in my life, I thought I was supposed to retire and pick something from like the different things, just pick something to do. And so my journey has allowed me to just receive revelations that I don't have to pick one thing, do it all. There's something for everyone. And even at your worst, you have something to give. So we've got the Busy Woman's Network. I've got different businesses that help women thrive. And that is my passion, seeing people thrive, especially women, seeing them thrive, aspiring and current entrepreneurs.
I love that. And I love that because so many times a mentor will usually tell you pick one thing, just pick one thing and focus on that. And I think it's true to an extent because when you're just starting out, you can't focus on just one thing. And so it's not going to be able to grow as quickly as you want. But I love what you say because I actually resonate with you. I cannot just focus on one thing. I had actually somebody call me today and they're like, okay, well, hey, we want to help you with this. And I said, because there's multiple things I do, not just this one. And so tell me about that. Why do you think that you don't have to focus on just one thing?
Well, for one, I feel like we're supposed to multitask, but I've even told clients and groups in the past, sometimes from your list of things, you need to figure out that one thing, focus on it, master it, and then move on. Then you've got some of us who feels like, if I don't have a lot of things going on, my blood's not like running through my veins. So you take all those things, you organize your time slots, keep journals. Believe me, I've got old-fashioned, and I don't want to show you, I've got old-fashioned calendars, old-fashioned notebooks, because again, like I said earlier, I've got different projects. I've got the nonprofit, overseeing that. Then we still have our accounting firm, though I've gleaned from that to kind of pull back some. Still, you have moments where you have to oversee and you're that person that's signing it off. And then as well with building people. So what I've found is I'm building people all the time. Those who feel that they're, on the bottom, they've hit rock bottom, all the way up through those who are considered the upper echelon, C-suites, business owners, thriving, multimillionaires. Every woman has something in their life that they would say is less than perfect, or they have something in their lives that even if they kept it secret, is something that they wish would be better, or they could kind of tweak it and make it better or do it a little different.
Yeah. So tell me about what Thrive 360 is.
Oh, goodness. It encompasses, again, the entire woman, mind, body, spirit, and finances. We've heard over the years, mind, body, spirit. I think because I am an accountant and I realize that if your money's screwed up or if it's not flowing in the direction that you want it to flow in, or at least in the process of flowing, that you're disturbed, mind, body, and spirit. You are disturbed. That's just, it's not a cliche. That is a fact. You're disturbed. A lot of times people say, well, I don't have to have money, but this is a society that we live in where you need to have a livable wage, not so much as be, wealthy, as Warren Buffett or Oprah for that fact, but at least have a living wage. I always feel even when a person has a living wage, sometimes it's from a skill, sometimes it's from a job, and sometimes it's from entrepreneurship. So let's just say that person who's working a job, but they have goals and dreams and aspirations to own their own business, but they don't know where to start. That's the person that normally contacts me. They don't know where to start. Well, I heard you can help me. So that's when the accounting side and the business networking, putting those pieces together, helping them define what it is they need to do, not me tell them what they need to do, helping them define what they need to do to either start that business, scale the business, or grow the business.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that is probably one of the biggest things, because I have been in a world where spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on education, and I've met so many people at conferences that I've gone to, and I just, it's hard to watch because they're constantly buying the next shiny object. And I said, you have to stop, you know? And so I coach them through things, because it's like, okay, what are you trying to accomplish here by continuing to buy new things? You have to stop and just do the one thing, because if it doesn't work here, it's not going to work here. And if, I mean, you just have to stop. And after several years, and they have all this money that they've spent, and then there's nothing to show for it,
Right.
it is really hard. It's hard to watch that. And so getting people to identify their why, getting them to identify what exactly they want to focus on, getting them to make a decision, and then how to run from there. It makes me sad, because you have all these people that they just need to take an action and move forward.
A lot of times, and I think you can identify with this,
Mm-hmm.
that's why we preach personal development.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times there's something in that person,
Right.
most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
that has not been addressed,
Right.
that's not whole.
Yeah.
So I would say, be the best in business, the best you can be to your standards, not everybody else's standards. To be the best in business to your standards, to thrive financially, to thrive in your mind and your body, be comfortable with your body, be comfortable with your why, define your why, and activate and operate, execute that why.
Mm-hmm.
Have to first know yourself and know your worth.
Right.
A lot of times people really diminish who they are for the sake of, groups or friends or families, or not seemingly wanting to be, I think I'm better than so and so and so and so. Again, it goes back to what I said about success. It's not what others think your level of success is, it's what you consider your level of success to be. So the same thing with thriving mind, body, spirit. You set your goals. Thriving with your finances, you set goals and you slowly chip at those. If you're able to handle multiple things at one time, and I think if we all are really honest and transparent, there are not too many days where a woman, especially if that woman has a family, can just do one thing at a time.
Right.
You take the kids to school and you've got a list. Well, you know what? I want to stop by the gym. I've got to go to the grocery store. I've got to get so and so. I've got to get dog food. I've got to go and do the laundry. There's always a multiplicity of things that we're always working on. It's just prioritizing. So that's why a lot of the individuals and groups that I work with, I really kind of push not so much as journaling, which some may consider it journaling, as to-do lists, honey-do list, write it out. Whatever it is, write it out. There's a correlation, with science and with the good book saying to write out your visions and make it plain, write it out. That way you have a gauge. You have a gauge that you can be able to work with going forward to see about, simple milestones, celebrate every win, great or small, marking them off your list. Okay, you've got 10 things on your list today. So what? You didn't finish everything. Add it on tomorrow's list and continue to work at it. I think a big problem a lot of times that we face as ladies is doubting ourselves, or feeling like we're at a stage or an age where, we've expired and we can't do that. When I was, younger, and I'm calculating some years. So, when I was younger, I may have been more apt to, do this, that, and the other. But as we begin to progress or to age, a lot of times you're trying to stay in that safety zone, that comfort zone.
Right.
Want to do what's safe.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm getting too old for this. This may happen. I'm getting too old. I just don't want to deal with it. But, think about Colonel Sanders with the chicken. He's 80. A lot of the people in the good book, they were 80, 90 years old and fulfilling, massive things. I love Chick-fil-A. I guess you could tell I'm hungry. I'm Chick-fil-A. One of my favorite places if I am to stop by fast food in the whole wide world. I love the story of Mr. Kathy. I love how he started that and how it's perpetual. It's going on. But he had standards and he didn't make it the first time. And he was up in the age.
And I
I
think
love that.
There's a Facebook post somewhere. I don't even know. It circles around. It circulates, I should say. But it's like Denzel Washington didn't get his first Oscar until he was this age. And all of them, like they list all these people, and they're all in their 40s, 50s, 70s. And you're right. It's like I think we as people were raised from young because we learned from our parents that this is what you do. Like my dad was a gardener, so I'm going to be a gardener, or he was the janitor, or he was a manager at this retail store, so I'm going to be a manager. And so it's like you're raised to follow in your parents' footsteps. And nowadays it's changed, but I think it takes a little while to realize, wait a second, I can actually pursue my passion. I can pursue what I want to do, and I don't have to follow the path that my parents took and my ancestors took. Okay, that's cool. And so it takes a little bit of time, usually around 40, that you realize, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with this anymore. I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Yeah. And it's okay to carve your own path.
Right.
It is okay to try something different.
Mhm.
It's okay to do that. And a lot of times I think we don't give ourselves permission to do something different, to step outside of the box and live outside of the box like confetti. Because we've got this preconceived notion that the perfect ideal life is XYZ.
Mhm.
The perfect way to do your business is XYZ. But we're all created, I feel, to fulfill a greater purpose. It's like a big puzzle. And we've all got these pieces, these, different nuances, these different parts that we play in this greater piece, this greater, big puzzle.
Mhm.
And what you're doing today probably will benefit, or your voice will carry on, or your invention, or whatever it is that you're doing is connected to someone else. It's connected to someone else. It may be someone in your family. 9 times out of 10, it's not. But it's like a perpetual upheaval a lot of times. And so when you're playing your part, you're holding your piece, you need to do your part. As long as you have a pulse and you're still breathing, there's still time.
Yeah, I agree. And it's never too late.
It's never too late.
So what are you most passionate about? Because you did accounting for so long. So how did you transition, and what are you passionate about now?
I've always had other interests. That's why I say the accounting, because people say, with your personality, how did you work behind the wall? It was easy for me, to work behind the wall. I'm used to working behind the scenes and then peeping out to see the finished product. I've always served. So the nonprofit that I have, A Grateful Mind International, is my passion because it helps individuals and families with children emerge from homelessness and severe poverty. So that has always been a part of everything that I've done career-wise through accountancy. I've always, on my leisure time, served. So moving past that, when I said I was going to retire, part of it, the biggest part actually, I said, I'm not going to do accounting. I'm just going to retire from accounting, and I'm just going to work the nonprofit and work with people and help them achieve and accomplish their goals and start businesses. Well, again, if you heard what I said, through the accountancy, I help people start businesses, get the foundation, whether it was LLC, sole proprietor, which I don't advise, or as a corporation. The gist of it is, with my passion, everything that I did in corporate America, everything that I've done as an entrepreneur, it spills over. So now, working with people who are aspiring entrepreneurs and current entrepreneurs, and those trying to define and find their purpose, to see who and what they should invest in. And my suggestion is always to invest in yourself first. Then on the flip side, with the nonprofit, I've got people that are homeless and impoverished severely. Some of them are not making those living wages. Some of them need to have help resetting their GPS, finding some type of direction, some way to increase their income, some way to turn that side hustle into a bona fide business. A lot of them aspire to do so many things, and we've helped a lot of people with education, and we've got this program, client progression program, a lot of them with skills training to fast track them for certification and education, to get them on that track where they have a livable wage. When you've got that livable wage, you can better take care of yourself and your family. But at the same time, you've got some trauma, some issues, some things that need to be addressed as the person. That is on both spectrums for me. So whether that person is homeless and impoverished, or whether that person is already thriving in some area of their lives, there's a medium we all have some things, some goals, some aspirations that are unfulfilled, some things that we've put on the shelf that we feel like we've expired age-wise and we shouldn't try it at this age. Or we've got kids now that have gone to college and okay, I'm an empty nester, or I no longer have my spouse for whatever reason. These are all women who need to thrive, mind, body, spirit, and finances, but a lot of times need just that little nudge or that external ear or advisory as far as how to get there. So that's why I use that terminology about the GPS. You know, we stick it, I don't go anywhere without mine. But
Right.
we put it in our cars, we on our phones to be able to navigate, to know where to go. That's the same thing with our lives. No matter what stage that we're in, I always tell people, don't become complacent. Even if you've accomplished your greatest goal off of your checklist, what else? What's next? You know, okay, the kids have gone off to school, they're in college or they're married. Now you're here. You're either stuck with your spouse or you don't have one. What is it that, you know, you desire to do that perhaps you put on the shelf and you never did? You're still here. So that means you need to go back to that and let's wake it up, dust it off, and put it in motion.
That is so true. Over the weekend, I ran my marathon, and that was the last thing on my bucket list before I turned 50. For real, like I've done everything else. And so everyone's like, okay, well, now what, Charisse? I said, oh, no, no, no. Like that was just the list that I made when I was young that I
Oh,
wanted to
wow.
accomplish,
That's
right? I
amazing.
have many more goals. I was totally unprepared for it, but I finished. And so I think that I love what you're saying because we do have to have direction. We do have to have purpose. I know some people that their husbands passed away years ago. And I remember once, I gave it a little while, but I said, okay, so what's your plan now? Like, because this person always blamed her husband, why she couldn't do anything and why she never did this or why she never did that. I said, okay, the sky's the limit. The world is the limit. What is your
Yes.
goals now? And I've watched her just flounder. She's accomplished, and I don't mean this rudely, but absolutely nothing. Like every day is wasted where she doesn't do anything. And it makes me sad to watch because it's like, okay, you're here on this planet for a reason. God
Yes.
put you on this
Yes.
planet for a reason. You
Yes.
have a calling, you have a mission, and He's going to keep you here until you finish it.
Yes. That part.
Yeah.
that,
And so
that part.
you're still here even though you don't
Yeah.
want to be. So you better
Yes.
figure it out.
Yes. 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 Make the best use of your time.
Yeah.
You know, definitely when you consider yourself having more years behind you than in front of you, you don't waste time.
Hmm.
But I feel like it should be taught at an early age not to waste time.
Right.
I remember asking myself when my daughter, I'd gone through divorce and it is what it is.
Yeah.
And my daughter had finally graduated. I placed her in college, placed her in college at the University of Maryland. And I remember having this meltdown,
Hmm.
this total meltdown. I booked a room at the resort at the beach because I love bodies of water. So I wanted to go to the beach, just kind of, you know, kind of decompress and think,
Mhm.
just think alone. And I remember like the first 2, 3 days, I'm literally in bed in tears, just crying and boohooing, having this pity party because at this point I've had my daughter all of my adult life. What am I going to do?
Right.
What am I going to do? Now it's just me. What am I going to do? And for the first time ever in my life, I asked Cindy, what does she want to do? What do you want to do? Not that I hadn't considered it before, what I wanted to do. Of course, I had high school plans, college plans, all of that. I screwed a lot of stuff up. I had to hit the reset button.
Mhm.
But as an adult, at that stage in my life, with my daughter going to college, which as a mother, and like I said, I'm a mother and grandmother now. You know, she's much older, but as a mother, a lot of times you're sitting there thinking, you know, your life has to be wrapped around the kids, period. While you're raising the kids, and you do feel that way because you're on the school schedule, you know, whenever they said you can take a winter break or a fall break or a teacher work day or something like that. So it is a lot evolving around that schedule. But I feel like so that we don't get lost in transition and completely lose sight of who we are as individuals outside of being parents, I feel like you should still pursue those goals. So like for me, I'm there in that hotel, beautiful resort. I mean, standing in front of the body's water, I had the blinds and the curtains pulled, and I'm having a pity party. It took me years before I even told my daughter that I had that pity party because I kept that face. I would not tell anybody how I had a meltdown in fear of what was next. And it was like the third day, maybe, yeah, I think it was like that third morning. The sun was beaming through the windows, and I woke up, and it was like an audible voice. It's like, Cindy, stop it. You've got your life back. You've got your life back. Just figure out what you want to do. You've got your life back. And I literally jump up from the bed. I'm ripping off the bedspreads and the sheets, and I ripped open the curtains, and I'm standing out there, and I'm looking at this beautiful water, the beautiful oceans. And that was the day of my epiphany that it was okay to basically dream again. Not that I thought I lost myself or my dreams, because I did accomplish some things as a busy mother. But the big things, I wanted to stay safe. So with that, that's what made me at the time move to Florida before the grandkids. I moved to Florida. And that's where I was going to stay. And I told my family, so I tell you what, I said, when I leave this earth, you just bury my body here in the Sunshine State. You just bury it here. I was so happy and so fulfilled. And in all honesty, Charisse, that is where I was compelled so strongly after another tragedy to formalize the nonprofit, A Grateful Mind International. Mm-hmm. That was the time that I stepped outside of the box because I'd always worked corporate America with it as an accountant, CPA. And so I stepped outside of the box. And then decided when all of the jobs everybody was being laid off. Mm-hmm. Do you sit here and wallow in it, or you figure out a way to get through it? And I started my own accounting firm out of asking myself, what did I want to do, and taking a chance. So that's what's most important to me at this stage in my life, as what they call me, the busy woman cheerleader. It's only because I push purpose. Mm-hmm. I push purpose. I push never becoming complacent, and I push those that I come in contact with, or those who employ or have me to come and speak at their events or their groups or team building activities. I push to them to continue to dream, no matter what stage you're in and in life, no matter what stage, no matter what happened years ago, no matter what didn't go according to plan. I push purpose. I've been called a midwife, but that was only because it's like, it's been sitting in you all along. But I guess because you didn't verbalize it, you didn't realize it was in you all along.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that's something that is driving me right now. So I can totally relate to what you're saying, and we can talk further off screen for that. But I think for people that are listening to this podcast episode, what advice would you give emerging or aspiring entrepreneurs so that they can turn this side hustle or this dream or this hobby into something that they're passionate about if they choose to, and that they want to pursue? What advice would you give them?
I would say never stop dreaming. I would say take your side hustle, whatever you're doing aside. I don't care if you're baking cookies or making scrapbooks. Mm-hmm. The world needs what you have. They need what you have. Your voice matters. What you're doing matters. And even though it may seem small to your circle, they've not encouraged you to move past the back room where you bake these things, these cookies, or you do these scrapbooks and they're awesome, or you're taking these photos and you're making, t-shirts and hats. They've not completely pushed you into where you need to be. Know that every gift is a God-given gift. Every positive gift is a God-given gift. And that may be that one little thing that catapults you over into your destined place where you're thriving holistically, mind, body, spirit, and finances, that sets you up for generations to come to help your children and your children's children, or your family, or your relatives, or the next nonprofit, the next business. All of those things that are in you, they need to be brought out. As far as starting a business, if you need help with that, if you don't have anyone local that you want to work with, feel free to reach out to me, because that's what I do. Help people take what seems to be dust and make it manifest into something big, some type of masterpiece, because it's your dream, it's your hope. A lot of times you just need just that little extra nudge to help you get there, to lay it out from A to Z. As far as your business plan, okay, who you're going to have as your accountant. All right, what are you going to get your merchandise from? All of those things are processes that have to be developed. And that is encompassed in what I do as the Busy Woman's Cheerleader, helping people move from aspiring and hope into fruition.
I love that. And I love the name Busy Woman's Cheerleader, because it shows that it's much like Unbreakable Mompreneurs. You want to motivate people that
Yes.
nothing can break you. Just keep going. You can do it.
Keep going.
And just keep focusing on what you want to accomplish and keep asking the question.
Unstoppable. Unstoppable.
Yeah.
The world cannot exist without us.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so we're going to switch gears for a second. I want to ask you, say that you are sitting on a park bench and you're enjoying the beach because you see, you talked about bodies of water. And a cute little 9-month pregnant woman, for the first time, she's a first-time mom, comes and sits down next to you and you start having a conversation. And unsolicited advice you choose to give her about any part of the journey of being a mom. What advice would you give her?
The advice that was given to me, remember that you are raising an individual, and that child is going to grow up and have their own life, their own mind and thoughts, decisions, sometimes contrary to what you want them to have, but it's okay because you're raising an individual. You are an individual and you're raising an individual. And just know that it's okay if they don't do it exactly like you did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that that's probably the best advice you could give a parent who has adult children, because let me tell you, they don't do what you want them to do.
Yes. So I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I've been on both sides of the spectrum. And in all honesty, my mother told me that. My mother told me that because even then, like I said, I had children from the children's home. I had my biological, but I had children, girls from the children's home, pouring into them at a young age. And there were some heavy pockets where I entertained the thought of adopting every single one of them, because at this point, they've attached themselves to me and my daughter, and I've attached myself to them. And you want them, even though they're in the system. And at this point, I'm getting them by the weeks, by the days, by the weekends, and I'm pouring into them. And you want to see them flourish from that point and never revert back to the reason or the negativity that put them in the system in the first place. And my mother said that to me, and some would say that was a harsh reality, but believe me, she supported and still supports the things that I decide to do. But that was a reality check, because again, you can find yourself wrapped up so much in your kids until you lose sight of yourself. You always have to save a little bit for yourself, because you were made an individual with your piece of the puzzle. And then he gave you these kids or a child that have their pieces of the puzzle. And I always feel like it's for us to guide them to where they need to be. But again, as you said, with adult kids, they don't always, sometimes you're asking yourself, did you forget something? Did you forget something? But all in all, it's there. That foundation is there. It's just like plants. I remember we were moving, and I think moving from one state to the other. And I left some plants, and I was sitting there. I was like, oh my God, my plants. We got to turn around and get my plants. So long story short, I was like, oh, you left your plants out here? And it's like, okay. But by the time the guys finished what I was unpacking and we went back a couple of days, they had wizzled to nothing, like the stems, completely just stems. And it was kind of emotional for me, because it's like, oh my God, I've had this one for 10 years. I've had this one, for 5, and these, oh my God, they're gone. But ironically enough, I pushed it, took one finger and pushed it. And like, I had like this plethora of thoughts about foundations.
Right.
And I was like, oh, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay because your roots are strong. Your foundation is strong. Even though your outer coat is wizzled, you don't have any greenery, your stems, you're weak, but you're going to make it. You're going to grow back because your roots are strong. Your foundation is strong. And that's the same thing with us. A lot of times, no matter how we got here, whatever the journey was of our parents conceiving us and putting us here on earth, whatever day, time it was, or event, we're here. We're here for a purpose and a reason. And even the things that break us the most or disturb us the most, they've only broken apart.
Right.
I will say apart because your foundation is strong. There's some reason why you're still here. Something in you is pushing you, like you said, you're still here. So that means you still have an assignment you haven't completed, and you're not going to leave here until you do. So when that
oh, go ahead.
foundation is strong,
Right.
whatever it is that you lost or you broke, it can be rebuilt.
And I was going to add to that I think it's kind of like a muscle where even if it does break, it's breaking for a reason. And
Yes.
sometimes it's because we have to like repair in a different way. We have to go in a different direction, or we have to grow. And so I think sometimes I hear people when I talk with them that they are so grateful for the fact that they were fired, or that they were let go, or that they did this or that. Like some of the worst situations in a person's life are some of the best because they had to
Yes.
grow
Yes.
stronger.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
actually, and if they didn't have that foundation, it forced them to create that foundation so that
Yes.
they could grow stronger.
Absolutely. There's always life lessons. You know,
Mhm.
some people have a rough childhood and they turn out to be awesome adults, and then sometimes they never recover.
Right.
Then you've got some people that had pretty decent childhoods, but then that life lesson kicks in as an adult. Things fall apart. You got to figure out how to put them back together, and then you've got to figure out where do you focus your energy and your time. Do you continue to have faith in what is good in life, or do you allow that to break you to a point where you can't recover?
Mhm.
No, never become complacent. You will recover.
Right.
Every problem has an expiration date, so you will recover.
So, very last question. What advice would you give a new entrepreneur having started out with their business? What advice would you give them to grow and to be successful?
Build your team. I know a lot of us, preaching to the choir, started alone because the dream was in my head. It
Right.
was in my head, the thought, the process. I feel it's very important for new entrepreneurs to create processes. I can't stress that enough. Um, Not even so much as always a formal business plan, unless you're going to the bank and you need a formal executive statement and your financials and your projections, yada yada yada. But depending upon where you start or the means by which you start your business is when you decide whether you need a loan and you're going to start it
Mhm.
bootstraps. Nonetheless, having processes in place is your business plan, because you name your business number one for where you're going, for not where you are. Name it for where you're going. So if you need to add, international to it, or worldwide, or plural instead of one, always think when you're investing in these licenses and these building your brand, think about where you're going, not so much as where you are. You don't want to say, the cupcake shop, and then you may make cupcakes all over the place and
Right.
have multiple shops. I would tell them to create processes as far as where they want to go, where they are, where they want to go, and what they will do when they get to that point. Because I'm a firm believer that when you're pushing that business, I don't care. Don't give up. No matter what happens, don't give up. Even if you take a sabbatical and step back a minute, you're realigning some things. Don't waste that time. Every gift in you is a God given gift, like I said before, that could actually be that one next best thing that catapults you into that life that you deserve to live.
I love that. That's such great advice. So,
Thank
if
you.
our listeners wanted to find you or find out more about you, how would they find you?
Okay, well, they can go to my website, thecindyrand.com. There's a lot of information on me and what's happening next, or what I'm participating in next, and even how to book me for any type of engagement as far as events or team building conferences. I do all of those in between time with all the other lovely things that I do, but I really enjoy engaging. So feel free to drop me a line there and reach out to me there.
Thank you so much. Cindy, you've given so much great information and about being an entrepreneur, but also following your dream and how to make sure that you don't stop and that you live the life that you want and find that life that you want. Don't let people stop you. So thank you so much for being on. And Unbreakable Mompreneurs, like I said, I hope that you took some golden nuggets from this today, because you need to find your passion. You need to find what makes you happy, and don't let people stop you. So go out and make it a fantastic day. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.